What up, everybody? It's your boy Lavell Vegas, George Zilla, Terrance G. We are 3CM. Tonight's food is from Victor's Mexican Restaurant. We got the carne asada quesadilla with the rice and the beans. We also got some chips and dip. George Zilla said the dip was too hot because it's comedy not. But anyway, I'm just playing. I'm playing. But the guy to the left of me, man. The guy to the left of me, man, he is the host of Caught on the Mic. He does the damn thing in Lincoln. We was trying to do a live show, but we was a little busy, so we couldn't get on the podcast. And then somebody got on there the last 5 minutes, Zilla. But it's all good and gravy, man. We all here together tonight. We all doing great. Give it up for Michael Clark.
What up, Mike?
Thanks, guys.
Dude, thank you for coming.
Got on the mic with Mike.
Oh, man, this is a pleasure. Like, I love you guys. For real, for real. It was awesome having Lavell on the first time and then getting to meet you two on the second time he came onto the show. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Like I said, I thought what was cool is having done a few of these, like it's always really cool when you can pick up with somebody like immediately. And we did that. Like we were just like rapid fire. Everybody was yucking it up and everything. So I appreciated that.
Yeah.
It's the art of conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
And you met me as Trenton Lavell Wainwright at the time.
Yes.
I didn't know what I was. I was going through a transition,
that
and I didn't know what I was
He's
doing
on that
at the
Prince
time.
shit, right? You know what he wanted to be. I'm gonna be
I didn't know who I was, man. And the logo changed. And, man, it was all bad, man. But yo, man, I guess we're gonna start it off, man. First off, you can start smashing, which you already did before we started taping, so that's cool. But let us know, man. What made you want to start a podcast, man?
I spent over a dozen years in the music business, and it was up, down, up, down, up, down. I probably got a lot farther than most people, but not as far as I wanted to go. But as a result, I pretty much met every single one of my heroes, so I'm very blessed in that sense. I got to play a lot of big shows. My very last show was at West Fair Amphitheater playing with Avenged Sevenfold and 3 Days Grace. I got off stage, I'm walking around, this place is packed full, like 10,000 plus people, and I was just like, you know, this is my Super Bowl moment. There's no better time than to walk away from this right now. Like one of my most favorite albums is Jay-Z's The Black Album, because from start to finish, it's his retirement album. And that last year I played in rock bands, that was kind of like, that was the soundtrack to my life, right? I was like, I gotta walk away from this right now. So that ended about 2012. I did a bunch of solo acoustic shows for about 2 years after that. 2014, I'm done with music completely. Pandemic hit, and I haven't been doing anything creative for like 6 years. And so it was killing me. And I'm like, there's no better time than now to like grease all those wheels of all those connections that I made playing music in all those different industries that I did. And I'm like, let's just do a podcast. And so that's kind of what brought me into it.
All right, man. I'm gonna just hit it straight out, man. Forget it. We usually wait till like the end to say this. Who's your worst guest on your podcast, man?
I ain't saying
Oh, come on, man. Who was the worst guest on your podcast, man? We gonna start it off from the top. We got about 23 more minutes, so you don't answer it now.
I was only there for 40 seconds.
You don't answer it now. I'll come back
23 and a half minutes of silence.
I'll tell you this. The day I get that Joe Rogan money, I will out.
Okay. That's fair enough.
You ain't gonna answer that. What instrument did you play?
I was actually a singer.
Oh, you're a singer.
Yeah, I did. Honestly, before music, I thought I was going to be an actor. Like in high school, I did plays, I did solo acting competitions. I got a full ride scholarship to a university to go be in the theater department, and I didn't take it because of dumb teenage decisions, you know. So, but I also did vocal music, and then, you know, right after high school, I started a band. I had a 9-piece ska band. I was friends with the Slipknot guys before they signed. And then I moved to Omaha. I was in like Southwest Iowa at the time, and I moved to Omaha. And I just felt that Omaha was such a good artistic community where you could be diverse and you can be any style of music you wanted to be. So I did a bunch of bands. I was just a singer of a rock band, but I've been playing instruments my whole life. My dad was a professional musician before I was born.
So you're done with music, aside from playing for enjoyment and all of that?
I don't even do that anymore, believe it or not. It's crazy, and it's not because I'm like bitter or I have anything negative on the inside. It was one of those things where, like, when I decided I was done, I was done. And I was okay, and I made peace with that.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of people can say that they do that.
Yeah, I mean, I had to walk away from things in my life too, but those were negative things.
I knew that was gonna happen.
No, I get that though. When it's time to walk away from things, and usually when you walk away, you keep walking. You know what I'm saying? Because that shit didn't sell. I get it.
Absolutely.
I get it.
Absolutely. And I honestly, there are parts of it the last few years that I was doing it where I was better at the business aspect of it than I was the performance aspect of it. Like, I would have been a great manager or agent at some point in time. And I'm sure you kind of noticed that with the podcast, because like, I'm always hustling that podcast, and I understand the emotional intelligence of an audience to where it's like, I know when to strike, how to strike, and who to strike at.
So you're good at it. I watched some of your podcasts.
And so, you know, like, kind of leaning into that, I was like, I was much better at the business side of things than I was at the performance side of things by the time I was done. And I was okay with that.
He's pretty good at business. Comedy, though.
No BS though. I mean, I do agree with you, man. I'm not gonna say the comedian name, but they actually wanted me to manage them when they say, I think you'd be better than your comedy. I'm like, damn, man, you just dissed my comedy like that.
Right.
But, you know, they did ask me, like, could you manage me? Like, could you always see you get connection?
I ain't gonna lie, man.
Yeah.
If I didn't have this dude in my life and this one always keeping it, man, I'd be still running in circles, bro. You know what I'm saying? Very good businessman.
But
and he's funny too. I give him that.
But that's the thing. I mean, and that's kind of like where the four of us even exist on a similar plane of existence. Like, we feed into this community. Like, why do you do comedy? Because you want to make people feel good. Like, everybody wants to get paid, right? But you want to make people feel good, and you want people to kind of think, and that's why comedy is an effective art form. And that's why podcasting works for me too, because it creates that sense of community. You know, I could sit here and I can kind of just run my mouth all day long with falsehoods and such, but no, I sincerely have a desire to connect with an audience, and that's why podcasting works really well for me.
You tell that you connect with your audience, man. I mean, like I said, I watched the podcast with Gina Lavetti by herself, and, you know, of course I was in on a little bit, but I watched that back a couple times, and I watched some of your other podcasts, and the way that you just the way you command the crowd, or just how the way you engross with the guests, and everybody just, you know, it's just comfortable, man. You know, everybody don't have that knack. You know what I'm saying? So I think you're good with people.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I had a mentor tell me one time that you are an individual, so is everybody else, right? So you got to respect everybody's differences and learn from their differences. So one of the cornerstones of my podcast is to prove that even though we're all different people, we have more in common than we do different in a world that's constantly trying to divide us.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's real.
Right?
That's real.
So when somebody does my show, and I think this is what makes me a little bit different than a lot of other podcast hosts, I make a personal investment in you for life until you give me a reason not to.
Absolutely.
Like, so that's why I instantly refer to people as my friend if they're on my show. They've given me their time, so they've earned my respect, they've earned my friendship.
Hey, we connected, man. Like I said, I looked at you for 30, 40 seconds. I'm like, man, I like this dude. I'm like, he cool with me, so I'm excited, man. Just, you know, because I know we talked, you know, future stuff, man, but, man, just keep doing what you do, man.
Thank you.
Do you think that your ability to interview and then your willingness to talk and connect will lead you down to, say, comedy, right? Because podcasting and comedy, especially nowadays, going like hand in hand. Is it something you think about dabbling in even?
I've never even thought about it. I've never even thought about it. Now, you know, I like I said, I did acting, so I did a lot of improv.
Right.
But, like, I've never considered comedy a part of an art form outside of just the confines of conversation, like one-on-one conversation. So I've never thought about dabbling in it, but I'll definitely have as many comedians on my show that'll be on it.
That's what's up.
Who's your favorite comedian that you had on?
Oh man, you three, of course.
I like it.
Oh man, I thought we was gonna get you, man.
I'm too slick.
Hey, you know what? I believe him.
I don't know, man. I think we spent more time laughing on that last episode than we did talking.
We probably did.
Hey,
but
Even though I wasn't on it all the way, I got to hear the whole interview, so I was sitting there laughing, enjoying.
Well, because half of it was literally talking trash about
It was
handicap.
That's why I was laughing. I was like, man, they talking about me like, but they doing good though.
What's crazy is we was going, and then we seen you. Well, I seen you pop up. Then we was talking, and I seen you pop up.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, here goes Zilla, and I'm up here talking like Zilla's in, and Mike's like, what? And I was like, yeah, he's here. And I'm like hyping you up. And you don't hear nothing there. And Mike's like, we're gonna have to cut that out, man. Because
I'm like, where the
you said he was coming in. Yeah, you know we're gonna edit that out, man. We're gonna definitely have to edit that out.
That was one of my most embarrassing moments for me because I was like, damn, man, we got a chance to really. So yeah.
But dude, I got a question. We all got kids. Do your kids like your podcast? Do they listen?
So it's funny. So I got twin stepdaughters and a daughter that are all the same age. They're all 3 juniors in high school. And it's like at the absolute best and absolute worst time at the same time. And then I got a son that's a freshman in high school. So I leverage TikTok and Instagram and all the social media networks to promote my stuff as much as possible. What's crazy for the kids is when their friends come across me on their For You page. And then if you look at TikTok, you can see who's viewed your profile.
Right.
And it's so funny because I'll constantly push the corner of that screen and look at who's viewed my profile.
I haven't even posted nothing in a while.
And I'll say to my wife, I'll be like, isn't this her friend? And she'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, well, they've been viewing my stuff. So it's funny because I think sometimes I worry that my kids are embarrassed by it. But I also know that my kids have kind of leveraged it to say, hey, look at what my dad does. This is pretty cool. Because I've had some big name people on my show.
Well, see, both of y'all kids are very young, right? Because how old is your oldest? Is pretty young.
About to be 5.
So I got teenagers like you do. So my kids, when they see me on YouTube or something, like, oh man, that's cool. So that made me feel good. Like, all right, because at first I was like, man, what they gonna see? Because I'm that dude.
Somebody feeling themselves, man. He is feeling himself tonight. I'm
feeling good today, man. Despite of what I got going on in my life, but man, I'm cool. But yeah, I mean, it does feel good when you're a kid.
Oh, absolutely, it absolutely does.
So, which one's your favorite kid?
It depends. It depends on the day. So I've got one boy one. So like, it depends. He's going through a phase right now. So I'm not as much of his hero as I used to be. So it kind of cycles through all the girls and then the boy, and then they all have a different day. I mean, that's the safe answer.
That was a trick question. The safe answer is no answer, man. You ain't supposed to have a favorite.
I understand the art of conversation.
You already know the favorites. The favorites ain't until they get old. Like when they out of high school, then you can say you got a favorite. When they all young.
Why wait so long?
Because
if you already know.
When they young, like my grandma, I was her favorite. I was the firstborn. She said I was her favorite. And then I was like 22, and then my little cousin was a favorite. And I'm like, yo, she was like, yeah, middle school. Then.
Well, the thing is like the state of life that they're in right now, like I have a unique bond with each one. So they sincerely are, each one of them, my favorite on any given day. It depends on what scenario we're in.
Right.
You know?
But you ever be at home eating dinner and be like, y'all watch my podcast? And they be like, yeah, we watched it. What was it about? And then they start stuttering.
No, to be honest, I don't even ask them if they watch.
Hey, that's fair enough.
I'll tell them. I'll be like, hey, I had King ISO on, and my son would be like, oh man, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, so I'll play a little bit of that interview with him. Or actually, it's funny you bring it up. My daughter, my 16-year-old daughter, and I were driving to Lincoln, and we listened to an episode, and it was just her and I. And we had a conversation about the podcast, and I said, you know, one of the reasons I started this was it's a legacy project, right? So like it is a permanent fingerprint in time that they can share with their kids, and their kids can share with their kids, and so on and so on. And it's one of my most favorite things about the show. And she was actually the one that came to that conclusion on her own, because I said, do you know why I have this? And then she kind of started filling in the blanks, and I was like, man, that's dope.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that, because I've actually had that conversation. Like people have said, well, what do you think your kids are going to say about this? And I've said kind of that same thing, is like, I want them to see the tomfoolery. I want them to see the outlandish things that I've been willing to post and all of that stuff. So it's like, you're not alone with those weird thoughts.
Right.
But they're also going to see the other stuff I've posted where it's like, man, my heart broke today because my daughter, you know, peed for the first time on the toilet and now I know she's without diapers. Just dumb stuff like that, but it's like they have something that I didn't have. Right.
I started laughing because I was thinking about some of your recent TikToks, man.
Oh yeah, they're
dudes,
out.
bro.
Dude, they've been good.
They're killing it, man.
I ain't seen them yet. I ain't seen them
outlandish.
yet. I'm usually on it, but
I'm at like 7.5 million views and climbing on one of my stupid.
Man,
Wow.
that's what's up,
So
man.
let's
Congrats, bro.
That's
you got the 3CM logo at the end of it.
put whatever on there, man. Just tell
Get that over there
Instagram.
real quick. I'm gonna
Tell
edit it.
Instagram to hit up Netflix to then hit up me for that deal. All right,
Appreciate
because
that, man. That
these-
logo you made for our podcast, man. I want
that
to put
was
that on the
lit.
T-shirt,
That
man.
was
I ain't gonna
dope.
lie,
Dope,
that was dope,
Thanks.
man. I like that.
Thank you.
I might hit you up like.
so do you have with that, man? Do you have a team or is it all you? Like
It's all me.
I was gonna say because I know you said you were great with the audio stuff and all of that. but,
Yeah,
like,
it's so funny because I came up with this concept for the podcast, fleshed it out, and had it going within 2 weeks. And so I do everything. I set up the interviews, I do the interviews, I do the pre-production, the post-production, I do all the graphics. I, schedule time to do the social media posts because you guys know how important that is these days. It's like
Absolutely.
maintaining that flow of engagement. And it's right now it's a one-man army. So I would love it if it wasn't,
Right,
because it'd take a lot off my plate. But yeah, it's all me.
You doing all that? That's still remarkable, man. Because that's a
thank
lot.
you.
Of
Incredible.
editing, putting all that together. I mean,
Yeah.
you got an incredible podcast.
Well, it was one of the reasons why you said you didn't want to do video, right? Because you wanted to make sure the audio portion was legit before you got there. Are you looking to expand to video?
Yes, absolutely. It's one of those things where if you kind of sit back and you look at, like, let's say you're starting a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
They say you have a 6-month plan, a 1-year plan, a 2-year plan, a 5-year plan.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of how I'm looking at the podcast. I don't have a specific benchmark set out. I know that when the time is right, the time will be right. But I would rather have awesome audio that everybody is listening to than some half-cooked video that people are just going to scroll past and be like, okay, this looks like the same kind of feed that every other podcaster is doing. Like, I want to make sure that every step of the way there's something or some sort of component that sets my podcast apart from everybody else.
Absolutely.
No.
Oh, y'all looking at me? Oh, my bad. I didn't know.
You've been
what-
throwing out them random questions like
I know. No, I still.
So is your dog married? Or,
Yeah, I guess I got again. It's an important question, man. Who's the worst interview you had, man? Come on, man. You gotta say it. You gotta say something.
Joe Rogan
We got
money, I'll
9
say
minutes
it. I'll say it. Give me Joe Rogan money, I'll say it.
All right, we'll hit him. We'll hit him with the curveball. Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
We'll hit him with the curveball. We'll ask you for the curveball. We like to throw curveball questions, especially me, man. So
Bring it.
FMK, man. Fornicate, marry, kill.
Oh
Between the three of
my
us.
God,
Dude. All right. So,
Who you doing?
man.
Who you marrying? And who you doing in? That's what I gotta know.
Man.
all right.
I don't know
So,
who's gonna get killed though, but
Oh,
well,
man.
I'm afraid that George would kill me before I killed him. So he's got to be my K. And
Okay.
then
Gotta
I
kill him.
marry old Lavetti because we've got the longest standing relationship, and I know he manages things. And man, you're my boy.
Gotta test it out. There we go. We gotta test the waters
So there
to
we
see
go.
how I am. There we go. George, you're a threat. You gotta go. Lavetti, you provide stability to this relationship.
Why am I single,
Stability
man?
and love.
I told you there's no curveballs, man.
Why is nobody swiping left?
that is wild.
Hey man, so I know, like I said, we was trying to get your live episode. Have you did a live episode yet when you had somebody in the
I
studio?
have not. I have not done. Well, I
Probably his
mean,
first. We'll probably be his first.
like as far as having people in my studio.
Yeah.
Actually, that's how I started. Like
Oh,
my
okay.
first 10 episodes, I was meeting up with people face to face. But it was in the heat of the pandemic, and like I had this thing going in the back of my head where I was like, man, am I being socially irresponsible? You know?
Right.
And so I also wanted to expand what the possibilities were with who I could have on the show.
Yeah.
So I started going remote, and it just kind of stayed that way. I've had a couple of people face to face since, but not very many. Not since that first first run of episodes, but it'll happen. It'll happen again. I've got the space for it.
I know we kind of touched on it a little bit out there, but like I said, congratulations on the AEW.
Yeah,
Can
thank
speak
you.
on that a little bit?
Thank you. So that's a funny situation. My sister-in-law is, she works in Seattle, and one of AEW's talents happened to be her patient. And
for real?
they're having a conversation, and she's like, "Oh yeah, my brother-in-law does a podcast." And she goes, "Oh yeah, show me." So she pulls up my website and sees my whole layout of all the guests that have done my show, and she's like, "Send in my info. I'm gonna help out."
Man,
and so
that's cool.
within 3 hours, I was connected with Aubrey Edwards from AEW, and we had an episode happen within a week of
Yeah,
that.
she's the referee on there.
Yes, she is.
The woman referee
Yep.
on there, yeah.
Yep.
Man, that'd be crazy. to get
Dude,
to touch
I
on.
have had some of the dumbest luck. Like one of my friends, Johnny, says, "I've never met another famous or non-famous person that's had so many famous people on their show."
Well, dude, because you got the writer, creator, and everything from the Hell House LLC.
Yep.
Like, which we talked about that.
Yep,
Like, as
yep.
horror nerds, it's a great movie. Like, underrated, plays on all the fears, man. That's super dope. You had, what was it, Joey Cool or whatever from Strangeland. So he signed with Tech Nine's album. Like,
Yep.
come on, man.
Oh,
You're
man.
just out here killing it.
Yeah, and then a lot of talents with the UFC, different people in different MMA organizations. Again, a lot of well-known musicians, just kind of flexing my old connections.
That's cool.
So I do not take it for granted how lucky I am that this has happened.
I don't know about y'all. I feel lucky just having you here, man. I feel like we would a celebrity, dude.
Well,
real,
thanks.
man.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way, and I think that's what makes this all work, right? It's all relationship, and that is my goal with every single episode that I do. Is that the guys and girls that do my show, they walk away feeling like a celebrity after it's all said and done, and I treat everybody as if they're a celebrity. It doesn't matter whether they're my next door neighbor or number 2 ranked fighter in the UFC. I'm going to treat them the same way and treat them with the same red carpet treatment.
That's our fourth member right there, right?
No, but it's true though, because it's like that doesn't happen a lot. Like I feel like that's one thing I struggle with the most is networking and all this business stuff, because I'm very genuine and I want it to be genuine. I don't want to just know somebody to be like, oh, well, I got to hit you up for this show. It's like I care about you as a person, and so it's always odd for me to just be that connect. I don't do it, and I don't do it well, So do you find that affects you podcasting? Do you find that like you have turned down guests as a result?
I wouldn't say that I've turned down guests, but you would be shocked, and I won't name names.
I don't know a name.
I won't name names.
Okay, I won't do it.
I won't name names, but you would be shocked at the people that I haven't had on my show yet, or the connections that I haven't flexed yet, because I don't want to be that disingenuous person.
Right.
I don't want to come across to somebody like the opportunist. Like, it's like, I just want you on my show because you're famous. It's like I know people that have been multi-platinum selling musicians that I haven't hit up just because I want to do it with the right integrity.
Right.
If that don't make y'all feel some type of way, man, that made me feel really good, man. That we was able to be on your show and knowing that you could talk to anybody, you talk to us, man. So that bro, I don't even know how to say the words, man. Like, for real. No, thank you.
Yeah.
For real.
What's your short-term goal and your long-term goal for Caught on the Mic?
This is gonna sound funny, but I don't know. I want to just, I just want to keep growing. Absolutely. I didn't start the podcast with the idea that I want to make this my career, but I also didn't not start the podcast with the idea that I want to make this my career. Like, if it becomes a career, it's a happy accident. And it's a happy accident that I would be more than happy to take. Right? But I just want to keep creating the best show that I can and keep getting better at my art form, having, bigger, better guests all the time, and revisiting guests. Like you've done my show twice. Yeah. There's a lot of people that don't hold that distinction yet. I think you're one of 3 people that have done my show more than once. It's about time that I start having some of those early guests on again. Zilla's got my number.
Timmy still needs his first episode.
Got your number, but you ain't got that Zoom number.
No,
I got it now, though.
zooming in on a flip phone.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what he thought. He was like, I've been zooming in on this thing for the last 30 minutes, and it ain't
It
coming.
was all close. I was like, what's
And all it's doing is getting bigger. That's it.
When he still got the old Sprint logo, and Sprint hasn't been in business for a few years, man.
Man, y'all leave my serious phone alone, okay?
got solitary on there playing.
George's like, hold on, I gotta check somebody.
Hey, don't y'all talk about my phone. I got
C.
the T-move.
H.
He got the Tubi phones out of.
It's not an Android, it's just Droid.
Might just be Metro. Oh,
I actually spelled Andrew.
all right, man. Tell us your socials, man. Where everybody can find you, where they can find the Caught on the Mic podcast. Tell us everything,
Search
man.
Caught on the Mic on all social media platforms. It's Caught on the M-I-K-E, not M-I-C. So it's Caught on the Mic on all social media platforms. Find me at www.caughtonthemic.com. I'm the most active on Instagram. Of any of them, I'm the most active on Instagram. That's where I make the most connections. And I got to tell you guys, my favorite line to say to everybody at the close of my podcast episode, and I'm going to steal a little thunder from your show, and I'm going to say, you guys, I love you guys. The world's a much better place with all of you guys in it.
Man, thank you.
I do like that you closed out your show by asking us what you can do to make the world a better place. So what can
I do
you
that too.
That's
You
what I'm
made
saying.
me
So we'll
cry,
flip
man.
it.
What you talking
What can you do to make the world a better place?
Man, I think it's little motions every day to be a better person.
Absolutely.
Like I'm not perfect, you're not perfect, but if we do a little better every day, that's how we're going to make the world a better place.
That's facts.
Man, I love that, man.
Facts.
Well, we got 40 seconds left. I guess I can close it out. You want to add anything else, man? Anything? Well, who's your next guest, man?
This week it's Stephen Cognetti from Hell House LLC. Just like we talked about, the new horror franchise. I'm super excited about that one. And I got a lot of other irons in the fire, stuff to get excited about.
All right, man. Well, that's dope, man. We appreciate having you on, man.
Absolutely.
We appreciate Victor's Mexican Restaurant. The
Yes, we
food's
did.
good. I'm taking that last case it did because it actually came up to $40 and you only gave me 10, so that's mine. Oh, so anyway, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching tonight. Hey, and y'all have a great night. Peace.
Yay.